The alarm goes off at 5 a.m. The room is dark. The bed is warm. Every part of your brain is constructing an argument for why today can be the exception. You're tired. You stayed up late. Your body needs rest. The logic is tight. It's almost convincing. But you get up anyway. Not because it's easy. Because you've decided, in advance, that this is who you are now. And every morning you honor that decision, it becomes more true. Level 1, the night before everything. You don't become a 5 a.m. person at 5 a.m. You become one the night before. Right now you're someone who sleeps at midnight, sometimes 1, sometimes later depending on what's on the screen. The morning feels theoretical, a place you'll get to eventually, once the right conditions align, once life slows down enough to allow an earlier start. The conditions never align. Life never slows down. You keep waiting for a version of your schedule that doesn't exist yet. The alarm is set for 7:30. You'll hit snooze twice, maybe 3 times. By the time you try to get up, it's past 8, and the morning is already gone. That quiet, unclaimed stretch of time before the world makes its demands. You'll feel the loss of it, but not quite enough to change anything. Not yet. Tonight feels the same as every other night. Phone in hand, content running, nothing urgent, but nothing quite finished either. You'll sleep when you run out of reasons not to. You almost always run out of reasons around midnight. Level 2, the first 5 a.m. You set the alarm for 5 a.m. on a Sunday night. Not because you have a system, not because you've read 12 books about mornings, because something in you is tired of who you've been, and 5 a.m. feels like the version of yourself you want to become. The alarm goes off. The room is dark in a way that feels almost hostile. Your body's resistance is immediate and physical, a heaviness in every limb, a warmth under the covers designed by biology specifically to keep you horizontal. You sit up before you make a decision about it. That's the trick. You don't negotiate. Negotiation at 5 a.m. is a rigged game, and your comfort always wins. You just sit up. You stand. You don't feel powerful. You feel stupid and tired and slightly cold. You drink a glass of water. You stand in the kitchen in the dark and stare at nothing for a moment. Then something quieter arrives. Not inspiration, just space. The world is asleep. No notifications, no demands, no noise. Just you and the time. You don't do much with it that first morning, but you feel its potential. That's enough to come back. Level 3, the war with the bed. You manage for consecutive 5 a.m. mornings. Then you sleep until 8:30. The guilt is specific and familiar. The particular sting of a streak broken. You spend the day slightly off. The way you always are when you've betrayed a commitment to yourself. By evening you've rebuilt it. Tomorrow. Definitely tomorrow. Tomorrow you wake at 5. The day after, 5:15. The day after that. You turn off the alarm in your sleep and don't remember doing it. This is the level most people quit at. Not because the early mornings are too hard, because the inconsistency feels like proof. Proof that you're not built for this, that the 5 a.m. version of yourself is someone else, someone with different wiring, different genetics, and a different life. That story is comfortable. It also isn't true. You're not failing because you're incapable. You're failing because the night isn't fixed yet. You're still sleeping at midnight. You're trying to take from a sleep account that has nothing in it. So you address the night. 10 p.m., screens off. Not negotiable, not flexible, not subject to the exception logic your brain will attempt every single evening. Phone out of the bedroom. The night is now a structure, not a choice. The morning doesn't change immediately, but the foundation is finally being built. Level 4, the machine assembles. 3 weeks of 5 a.m. mornings. Not perfect, but mostly held. A sequence is forming. Alarm at 5 o'clock, phone across the room. So getting up isn't optional. Feet on the floor. Water cold immediately. 2 minutes outside if it isn't raining. Not because a book told you to. Because you discovered that morning air, even briefly, signals something to your body, that the day has begun. Then the desk. By 5:20 you're sitting. One task written on paper, not a list. Just one task. The thing you needed most to move forward. Timer set to 45 minutes. Work begins. The outside world still sleeps. Your phone is still in the other room. No email, no messages, no information about what anyone else is doing. Just you and the task and the silence. The first 45-minute block is the best thinking you do all day. Not because you're a morning person by nature. You're not. Not yet. Because there's nothing competing for the space. Your attention hasn't been parceled out yet. It's whole, and you're spending it first. You finish by 6:05. You've done more real work than most people do before noon. The rest of the day is different when it starts like this. You carry something forward, not energy exactly, but a kind of quiet confidence. You've already won something before most people have opened their eyes. Level 5, the identity shift. Something changes in how you see yourself. You stop describing yourself as someone who is trying to wake up early. You are someone who wakes up early. That shift is small in speaking but huge in reality, and it changes how you make decisions. You turn down the late invitation because you're up at 5, not as punishment, as a natural consequence of having a life that's organized around something real. You protect the night the way you once protected nothing. You stop explaining your mornings to people. It's just what you do. The work compounds quietly. 2 45-minute blocks a day, 5 days a week, for 2 months. That's roughly 60 hours of focused, distraction-free output applied to the thing that actually matters. That's a transformation that looks like luck from the outside. It isn't luck. You watched it happen, one block at a time. The resistance still comes. There are mornings where the alarm sounds like an act of aggression, and the warm dark is almost unbearably seductive. You sit up before you finish the thought, but the decision was made weeks ago. You're just executing it. Level 6, the hours no one sees. By the time most people start their day, yours has already had a shape. 5 o'clock, wake up. 5:05, water, brief movement. 5:15, first block. Deep work, no input, one task. 6:05, short break, coffee, brief walk. 6:20, second block. Review, planning, secondary work. 7:15, the day opens to the rest of life. 2 hours of real output before the noise starts. You stop checking your phone first thing in the morning the way someone quits a bad habit. Not through discipline, but through redesign. The phone isn't there. The charger is in the kitchen. The path of least resistance now leads to water, not to a screen. You understand now what these mornings are actually protecting. It isn't productivity. It's authorship. The difference between a day you build and a day that happens to you. A reactive day, starting with notifications, other people's priorities, yesterday's problems, belongs to everyone else. A morning that starts at 5 a.m., in silence, with your own priorities first. That day is yours. The machine runs cleanly now. But you're aware that machines require maintenance. One bad week can erode the habit. You don't fear it, but you respect it. Level 7, the compound effect arrives. 6 months in, something has quietly accumulated that you can measure now. A project finished. A skill genuinely improved. Output that exists in the world, not planned, not outlined, not saved in a notebook to start one day. Done. The kind of thing that only happens through sustained, repeated contact with the work over months. You look back and try to identify the moment it turned. There wasn't one. It was the Tuesday morning you showed up when you didn't want to. The Thursday that felt pointless. The 3-week stretch in month 4 where nothing felt like progress, and you showed up anyway. Discipline isn't dramatic. That's its entire power. It operates in the hours no one witnesses, in the mornings no one posts about, in the quiet accumulation of days where you did what you said you'd do when doing it meant nothing except integrity. Your evenings are different too. There's less urgency to fill them. You've already done the meaningful work. The night is for rest now, not for compensating. You sleep at 9:45. Your body is ready before your mind admits it. Level 8, 5 a.m. without the alarm. You wake at 4:58 a.m. Not by effort, not by gritted teeth. Your body has redesigned itself around the life you've chosen. The darkness that once felt hostile now feels like yours, private, productive. Yours before anyone else can claim a piece of it. You don't feel heroic. You feel settled. The sequence runs itself. Water, desk, work. No resistance, no negotiation, no internal debate. The machine doesn't need to be started anymore. It's simply on. You understand now that 5 a.m. was never really about the hour. The hour was a line in the sand, A concrete, specific commitment that forced you to reorganize everything around it. The sleep time, the evenings, the phone, the environment, the identity. The 5 a.m. was the lever. What moved was a life. You don't talk about it much. Talking about discipline and having discipline are not the same, and you've learned to stay on only one side of that line. You just get up. You just do the work. Every morning. A little more of who you're becoming is built in the hours the world doesn't see. Somewhere right now, someone's alarm is going off at 5 a.m. The room is dark. The bed is warm. The logic for staying is forming. Good logic, reasonable logic. The kind that has won this argument every single morning for the past 6 months. They're about to hit snooze. You remember that moment, the exact warmth of it, the particular comfort of choosing the easier thing, and the particular cost of choosing it every single day until the cost is a life. You know what's on the other side of this life. They almost do. 5 seconds. That's all it ever is.